Okay, good morning. Now, let's talk about this verb venir. Okay, so this is our new verb for lesson 15, and it is an irregular verb. Okay, all right, and I do have a little bit more to add to this as well that is not in your book. So if you do want to get out your notebooks or get something to write it down, like I said, we are going to be taking some notes of things that are not in our book. Okay. All right, let's get going. So first things first, we have the verb venir, okay? Venir in French is the verb to come. So it would be to come to a party, to come to school, any place where we would use come in English, we'd probably use venir in French, okay? It is an irregular verb, all right? So let's talk about this. So now we have je viens. In fact, I'll pop them up. Okay, so we have je viens, tu viens, il vient, elle vient. Okay, let me say those again. Je viens, tu viens, il vient, elle vient. Nous venons, vous venez, ils viennent, elles viennent. Okay, so we do pronounce those two N's there. Okay, now if you can see, we do have a pattern here. Okay, we do see that once again, these two are similar. Okay, so je viens and tu viens are the same, and then it's going to tweak here to this T in the il and the elle form. Okay, now we have the nous venons, which once again, we get that VEN from the infinitive, and then we take off the IR and we add the ONS that we're used to. The same thing here, we take off that IR and we add that EZ that we're used to in the VU form. Okay, now then we have ils, elles, viennent. So as you can see, we have these four forms that have this IE instead of the EN. Okay, and in fact, this is something that in French we call a boot verb. Okay, this is our first boot verb. So we call it a boot verb because these four forms, okay, je viens, tu viens, il and elle viennent, they have something different that is not in these two forms. Okay, so obviously we have these two forms where we have this VEN that is not in these ones inside the boot. Okay, obviously they're called boot verbs, or sometimes French teachers call them shoe verbs because obviously it looks like a shoe or it looks like a boot. Okay, so anytime I talk about a boot verb, that means that these four forms are going to have something special about them, are going to have something different about them that doesn't happen, like I said, in this nous and the vous form. Okay, so let's repeat it one more time before we go on. Répétez, venir, je viens, tu viens, il vient, elle vient, nous venons, vous venez, ils viennent, elles viennent. Now, that is what is in our book, okay? We have two more verbs that are like this. In fact, there's a whole little family of verbs like venir. They usually end in venir. So then if I say, hey, it's conjugated like venir, you know that it's going to be conjugated like this, okay? So these next two verbs, like I said, I don't think are spelled out in your book. I think they're mentioned in your book. But once again, if you want to write these down in your notes, let's go ahead and do it. Okay, the first one is revenir, okay? We have revenir. Once again, anytime we put an RE on the front of something, that means that we're going to do it again. So if we to do, but then we say to redo or to negotiate and to renegotiate, then r on the front of anything is to do it again. So to come back, that is the verb revenir. Now, it is conjugated exactly like we just had on venir. Okay, but this is revenir. So really all we're doing is we are going to put this RE on the front of every single one. Okay, so we have je reviens, tu reviens, il revient, elle revient. Nous revenons, vous revenez, ils reviennent, elles reviennent. Okay, So once again, you can see that we have this VIE in here. So again, this is going to be a boot verb simply because venir is, okay? If venir is, so are all the other ones that go like this, okay? So once again, we have the VEN with the ONS, the VEN with the EZ on those. Those are similar, but the other four here have that pattern, okay? Let me say it one more time. Répétez, revenir. Je reviens, tu reviens, il revient, elle revient. Nous revenons, vous revenez, ils reviennent, elles reviennent. So once again, this is to come back somewhere that you had been previously. Okay, now we have another verb that is like this, and once again, it is conjugated just like venir, and well, just like revenir, but this one is going to be devenir, okay? Devenir is to become. So we say like, I became angry, I become sad, I become happy, I become a doctor, I become a lawyer or a politician or something like that. So again, anytime we have the verb to become, in English, we are going to use the verb devenir in French, okay? So again, let me pop them all up. So we have it, and I told you it is just like venir, except we are putting the DE on the front of all of this. Okay, so je deviens, tu deviens, il devient, elle devient. Nous devenons, vous devenez, ils deviennent, elles deviennent. Okay, and as you can see, just like with the other two, this is also the boot verb, okay? If it's a venir, it's a boot verb, okay? So again, we've got that VIE, 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 okay? And then once again, we've got that VEN with the ONS and the EZ outside the boot, okay? So inside the boot is usually where the changes happen. Outside the boot is usually more like that infinitive, okay? So let's repeat one more time and then we will move on. If you need to pause this to write this down, go ahead and do it. That's the joy about videos. Is if you need to pause or to go back and listen to something again, do it. Okay? All right, répétez, devenir. Je deviens. Tu deviens. Il devient. Elle devient. Nous devenons. Vous devenez. Ils deviennent. Elles deviennent. Okay. Now, that is what we need for our verbs for this time around. So let's go ahead and shift gears here. Now, let's just review from the last lesson, okay? Remember, we talked about last time, okay? We talked about which means to or at. Remember, you can use by itself. If I want to say something like, je vais à Paris, I am going to Paris. Or it could be something like, je parle à Sylvie, okay? So once again, it could be something like, I'm talking to a person, or I'm going to a place. If I have a by itself, the isn't in it, okay? So when we talk about these contractions, if we have an a plus a l, okay, we cannot have a plus a l. It needs to go to the o. So, je vais au musée, je vais au cinéma, je vais au parc. Okay? Because all of those places are masculine. So once again, we have the in it. I am going to the park or to the museum or to the cinema. Now, à la, that's okay. So I can say, je vais à la plage or à la piscine or à la bibliothèque, because all of those places I just mentioned are feminine. Now, L', remember, it is going to be singular, and that next word needs to start with a vowel or an H. So it could be something like hôtel, okay? So then it would be à l'hôtel, or it could be something like à l'école, okay? So to the school. Now, guys, the only time you use this one is when it is going to be plural. Okay, so if I say, je vais aux Champs-Élysées, okay, remember that's that big avenue in Paris, okay, it is plural. Okay, so Champs-Élysées, that is going to be because there's more than one field. in this case. Okay, so again, that is review from the last lesson. Now, in the same vein of things, we are going to be talking about now contractions with de. Okay, now contractions with de. So just like, guys, we had o over here with the a, okay, now we're going to have do. So do not do the de and the le. The do is going to be that masculine singular. Okay, so, and I do have examples, I believe, on the next slide, so I'm not going to talk much about the examples right here. Now, de la, just like we had a la over here, and it's okay to have a la, like a la bibliothèque, it is okay to have de la, okay? So once again, that is going to be for feminine singular. Okay, now, just like we had L apostrophe over here, which once again is masculine, feminine, singular, okay? Before a vowel or an H, we are going to have de L apostrophe. So again, guys, these kind of line up, okay? But these over here with these over here with de. Okay, now again, we have the de and the lay. No, you cannot do de lay. The de lay goes together to become de. So that corresponds with the O over here. Okay, so again, is the to. So if I'm going to the cinema or to the museum, that is going to be using these over here. Okay, but if I am coming from the movies or from the museum or from the library, then I am going to use these over here because we need to have that de. Okay, so we've got du here, de la, de L apostrophe, and de. That is the of the, from the. Okay, the is included with this. If we only want the de, like je parle de Sylvie, like I'm talking about Sylvie, then it's just going to be de by itself. Or je viens de Paris, I'm coming from Paris. It's okay to have de by itself if we don't need the. Okay, but if we need the, it is going to be these four. Okay, let's look at some examples now. Okay, so je viens du parc. I am coming from the park. So you need to realize that this parc, that's masculine. It's only one park. So that's why I've decided to use du. Well, it's not I've decided, it's the right answer. That's how they say it, okay? Je viens du parc. But again, it has nothing to do with who I am. It has everything to do with the fact that that park is masculine. So that is why it is so important to know whether those places are masculine or feminine, singular, plural, whatever, because it's going to affect other things in our sentence. Okay, now, elle vient de la piscine. Okay, hopefully by now we've talked about it enough that we know that piscine, swimming pool, is feminine. So again, we choose to use de la because piscine is feminine. Now, nous venons de l'école. We are coming from the school. Now, school is actually feminine, but because it starts with that vowel, we know that we are using de L apostrophe. Okay? Don't say de la école. No. The la and the école go together to become l'école, de l'école. We are coming from the school. Now, vous venez des magasins. Now, in this case, we are talking about multiple department stores. We are coming from the shops. We are coming from the stores. Now, really, this word is masculine, but because it's plural, we don't really need to worry about that, okay? So we're talking about multiple stores, so that is why we are choosing to use day on this, okay? So once again, it all matters what these places are, okay, of which one we are going to be using. Okay, so je viens du parc. I am coming from the park. Elle vient de la piscine. She is coming from the pool. Nous venons de l'école. We are coming from the school. And vous venez des magasins. You guys are coming from the stores. Okay, so once again, that is it for right now. So if you want to, go ahead and you can do the other exercises in Schoology, and you can practice with venir, and you can practice with these does and the de las. We are going to be doing more with venir in our next little chunk of this, but I am saving that for next week. Okay, if you do have any questions, please reach